Hey guys, so I wanted to make a video on how I was training before when I first decided to do a fight, all the way up until my actual fight. So I don't want to make this video too long, so I'm just gonna jump right into it. I really wanted to do a fight for quite some time, but it had taken some convincing and some time for my martial arts master to accept and to help me start training and find a fight for me. That all started in like 2024, like I believe in the winter. And I just kept telling him, I want to fight, I want to fight. And obviously, a lot of people probably say that, but he wanted to see, how willing was I and was I ready to do the work for it, because it was a lot. He saw that I really wanted to do it and he was convinced. We stepped right into it. And I started training in like January of 2025. But backtrack, I started training Muay Thai at the end of December, so it was like December 31st. So just a little bit about that. So I started training Muay Thai from December 31st all the way up until July 19th, right? But I didn't really get like everyday training. Honestly, I only got a handful of technical work done, which I want to say was probably like 5 or 6 times, and that's like really pushing it. It was because my trainer at the time had lived in a different state, and he only came up to where I was once or twice a month, give or take. So I could only see him once a month, maybe twice, and then sometimes I didn't see him at all for a month or over that. For like 6 months, I really only got like 5 or 6 like classes of Muay Thai, like technical work. Any other Muay Thai training that I did, it was just really like cardio based or like sparring, which was all great and dandy, but I didn't have the fundamentals or the foundation that I really wanted and needed. And as a martial artist, I'm like really big on foundation. Like I need my basics to be crisp and clean. I really need to understand like every little detail of it. That's just how my brain works. That's how I function with everything, especially in martial arts. And that trainer that I could only see like once a month, he was very big on the foundations. So he was always critiquing me, always helping me grow. And I really appreciated that. I was really grateful for that, even if I only got to see him like a few times. As far as like the technical work, I started from literally the very beginning of Muay Thai. Now, granted, I have many years of martial arts behind me, but I knew absolutely nothing about Muay Thai. So here you can see me doing very technical work and just honestly like a newborn in Muay Thai, just learning how to teep, how to word up my hands, how to guard, how to front kick, because front kick is very different in different martial arts. I was starting off with stuff like that. So a lot of times during my training, I unfortunately had to train by myself, and that definitely affected my training and my fight experience. And it definitely showed me how much I definitely need somebody to help guide me. So that was one thing that really stuck with me this whole time. So fast forward, here you have me sparring. So I did travel a lot to different dojos in order to spar with other people, because I didn't want to get accustomed to the people that I was always sparring, throughout the week. And looking back on it, it was a bit difficult because, like I said, I was alone for a majority of my training up until my first fight. But it is what it is, because I did the best that I could with what I had. And I'm super grateful for everybody that did help me along the way. So anywhere I traveled, they did help me in some shape or form. So it wasn't like I got nothing out of that. And then here you're gonna see me get the wind knocked out of me for not the first time, but in a while. There it is. I got teeth like going upward and it hit my gut, and that did not feel great. I had to shake it off, but thankfully I just stood up, kept going, and I kept sparring for, I don't really know how long this session was, but kept going like a champ. So aside from sparring, I did have a couple people that were my sparring partners that I trained a lot with, and here's one of them. And he actually was training for his very first fight as well. So we were both training together, and it actually happened that both of our fights were the very same day because it was run by the same organization. So we trained a lot together, and um, his expertise and his skill definitely helped me a lot. So I'm super grateful for that. But here is just another example of how a lot of times we would be alone or by ourselves training, and it could be for various reasons. Something happened with our coach that he couldn't come, or, something popped up, etc., etc. And this was one of the most frustrating portions that at least I had to go through with training for my first fight, was being alone. And I'm a very structured person, so I like knowing what I'm going to do, because that's how you grow. When you're just kind of hopping around from one thing to another without any structure, and you're not really knowing what you're doing, it doesn't let you grow or target certain aspects of your martial arts in order for you to correct that and really instill it in your muscle memory. So here's like an example. We were just kind of doing drills or techniques or combinations, and it did help, but like I said, it wasn't something that was really instilled in me, so I can't say it was like a second nature. It wasn't the same as if a coach was with me and every day he's like, okay, we're going to work on this and we're going to do it over and over and over for 15,000 times, and we're going to do it for the next 2-3 weeks, and then we're going to move on. So I definitely did a lot of pad work, with both of my coaches, which was my master in martial arts and then the Muay Thai coach that I saw more often than the one that I would only see once a month. Definitely did a lot of pad work and a lot of drills with that. And it was okay, but honestly, like I said, it wasn't something that was instilled in me, and that was just frustrating for me because I wasn't getting the critiquing that I wanted. And to be by myself or with someone else that also needs guidance, it's kind of like we're just winging it. And that definitely showed in my first fight. I was winging it mostly, and my fighting instinct came out. It wasn't anything that I did as far as training. So I do want to highlight some positive points, not just all negative ones. I do want to point out that you can see throughout the video, especially from the very beginning when I was like a baby in Muay Thai, I did grow exponentially, even with only a handful of technical classes that did teach me how to do things in a Muay Thai style. So I'm able to kick better. I can start checking with my legs. Obviously, it's not, pro level now, but I'm starting to get the gist of it. You know, punching down the pipeline, having a long guard. I'm starting to figure all that out and utilize those things. Like I said, it's not second nature yet where I was able to use it in my fight, but there were some things that I could pull from my training that I did do in my fight, which I was really grateful for. So I was glad to see my growth and just how much healthier I got too, because if you saw my previous video of me when I first started working out again after a huge hiatus, you could see just how like deprived my body was of nutrients. I had like no muscle tone, and in here you can see me starting to build that muscle tone back up. I have a healthier weight, my skin looks better, hair is better. I'm just overall more healthy than I was before I started training. Aside from sparring, which I did do pretty consistently, I also was very big on conditioning and making sure that I was able to take a punch and a kick again, because when I was younger, I would spar like crazy and I didn't care about getting hit in the face. I actually loved getting hit. It made me more like ready to fight. It did something to me where I felt like enticed to keep going and go harder and harder. So I always loved fighting, and for some reason I always loved getting hit. But that kind of went away as I got older, so I was like, nah, I need to get that back. So here I was just like, all right, I need to be conditioned in a way where I could take hits, and granted, that's something that I was able to do in my fight because the girl, she wasn't extremely powerful, and I didn't really feel her hits aside from her jab, which was getting me in the head because I was not defending. I was just like an open slate where she could keep hitting me. So I did feel that. But other than that, nothing else really hurt, and I'm used to sparring with grown men, and when they would really hit, that hurt. So that's what I really focus on as far as like sparring goes. So in this time frame, I'm glad that I was able to condition my body where I could get kicked in the leg, I can get kicked in the gut, I can get punched in the face or punched in the stomach, and I could keep going. Because a lot of times I would be injured or I would be hurt from getting hit. And also during this whole time frame, I think in March is when I really noticed that something was wrong with my shin because I was in class and I'm like, I'm hitting the pads and something hurts. So I just keep going, and then next thing you know, I see this like bubble forming on my shin, and I'm like, well, that's new. And come to find, I had a hairline fracture and I had a fight like that. So it is what it is, but it definitely helped me mentally to grow and be like, all right, even when injured or hurt, you got to keep pushing through. So another part of my training regimen was a lot of running. Now granted, looking back, I definitely didn't run enough, but that's okay because that's how you learn. So my main Muay Thai coach, the one that I only saw like a handful of times, he gave me regimens to follow as far as running goes. So a lot of times I wouldn't just be running long distances, I would have sprint workouts. And here I'm doing one of my sprint workouts. So I believe this one, it would be like a pyramid. So I would run for 30 seconds, like full sprint, and then I would walk for 30 seconds. And I would do that so many times. And then I would upgrade. So then I would sprint for 40 seconds and walk for 40 seconds. Do that a few times. Then I would upgrade again. And I would have to sprint for a full minute, like full blast, and then walk for a minute. And I would have to do that a few times. And then that would be the end of it. So that would be like an example of one sprint session that I would have. And those literally were killer because there were times where I wanted to cry when running, and I just had to push through it because it hurt so much, especially some of the long distance ones. It was a lot to do, and no one really sees that when you're training. They don't see you, falling or crying, or it's super hard to get up in the rising, or it's super hard to get back up from a workout. It's a lot, and I'm glad that I got to experience all of that. So here I'm doing more technical work for my footwork and for my boxing, and I love doing technical work. I do feel like your foundation is key to everything. So if you don't have a strong foundation in your style, everything else isn't going to be as strong because that's where everything stands. It's like a house. How can something be built off of a weak structure, right? Here I'm doing more pad work, and I did practice being southpaw a lot during a few months before my training because of my hairline fracture. It was in my right leg, and anytime I hit the pad even just slightly hard, it would trigger the pain. And you can kind of see it if you look at the shin, like there's like it looks like a ball or a bump, and that's literally where it split. But that's how you grow in Muay Thai, because honestly, if you don't have any shin splints at all, or hairline fractures, I should say, or stress fractures, yeah, you can kind of see it there, then your shins aren't growing. They're not getting the impact that they need in order to make and produce more bone marrow in that area to strengthen your bone. Now, one thing that I really got my eyes open to now that I am training at a new gym and with a new coach is bag work. Bag work is so important, and I haven't used a bag since I was like a teenager because our dojo kept moving around so much that a lot of places we weren't able to hang up our heavy bags. So here, this isn't really like even a heavy bag. I mean, technically it is, but it's just really flimsy and light, and you can't kick and get that impact that you would if it was like a super heavy bag or a Muay Thai bag, which is what gives you the strength in your shin bones and really helps you feel the impact of a heavy hit. So I'm kind of just playing around with it now, but I definitely see the results of a real heavy bag now. One thing I for sure did not neglect was lifting weights. I absolutely love lifting, and that's something I've always been consistent with throughout my years, even if I wasn't training in martial arts, because I did move around a lot, but I always found the time to go to a gym, even if it wasn't every day consistent. So throughout my time, this is actually what helped me regain my muscle mass, and my healthy weight was lifting, honestly, consistently. Whether that was legs, arms, back, didn't matter. I was always in the gym, and sometimes I was honestly training 2 times a day. I would go train first and then go to the gym, or I would be in the gym first and then go train. As far as clinching goes, I did train clinching. That was part of like our warm up. I wouldn't say that we really spent a whole lot of time on it, but it also was conflicting because my first fight actually wasn't even a Muay Thai fight, it was a kickboxing fight. So a lot of training that I was doing for Muay Thai didn't really get to be utilized in my fight because for the kickboxing fight, you could only clinch for like, I think it was like 5 to 10 seconds, and it had to be active. You had to be doing something in the clinch, and then they were gonna break it up, and you couldn't just hold. Like you couldn't just fight for dominance in the clinch. So I was doing the clinching, and it did help with my Muay Thai style, but it definitely wasn't utilized in my fight. And one thing that I would say I'm still using to this day and that does help me a lot is super light sparring, which is what we're doing here. Almost like a shadow boxing with a partner. You're not really like touching too much, you're not going full power, but speed you'd want to go full throttle in. It's real, but not a real fight at the same time. Another thing that I really enjoy and love doing are ab workouts. And I did a plethora of that. I was doing supersets like crazy, especially after my workouts. Now, here I'm sparring again, and this was such an eye opener because here I ate like maybe an hour and some change before class, and I never do that. I have to eat minimum 3 to 4 hours beforehand, otherwise, I'll literally throw up. So I definitely learned my lesson the hard way because I ate right before, and I did 9 rounds, and I don't even remember how long the rounds were. I just remember trying to survive, and I almost threw up so many times. I could feel the food inside my stomach, and it was a terrible feeling. But if I could do that, and by that I mean sparring, if I could spar for 9 rounds continuously and get punched in the gut with my stomach full and I could keep going, then I was like, all right, then I can keep going in the fight, regardless of if I win or lose. And here, my master is also showing me some things I can do during the fight. And he definitely helped me so much in my kickboxing and in my boxing. He's literally a master, and I'm super grateful that even the little bit of time that I did get with him, he was able to show me a few things. And I've definitely learned so much from him over the years. So this video is way longer than I wanted it to be, so I'm just gonna go ahead and wrap it up. So just don't forget to like and subscribe so you guys can follow for more content. And I would love for you guys to join me on my journey through martial arts. It would mean a lot to me. So until next time.